Hello everyone, how are you doing today? Now this is part two I did a video right before this, but these are papers that I wrote. I usually do kind of rants where I go off the top of my head and I get a lot across that way. But this one is a call to attention to all spiritual leaders and religious leaders. Basically a call to a call to attention. I want to speak my mind, and this will just take a moment of your time. So, this is not biased or leaning towards any one particular direction, but I think I get my point across rather well. And only by putting this on paper could I get all the points down. And here we go, alright? Attention, all religious leaders, sages, spiritualists, illuminated peoples, or whatever you may choose to label your insights. This is a call to peace along all lines and all belief systems. A call for acceptance, tolerance, and love for every facet of religion, agnosticism, and atheism. Yes, even atheism. From every particular version of God that has been put here, we have reached a level of understanding that should now be easily visible to even the most stubborn individuals. Our scientific discoveries have only brought more questions, bigger questions, and made us realize that God is much more complicated than mortal man could ever hope to understand. If God exists. We can now assume the only wrong belief system, if there is such a thing, is one which either impedes the flow of life, changes the natural order of things, or is intolerant in any way toward the others who may not share the same particular view. We can hold a level of understanding about ourselves we never thought possible. We can educate ourselves on the true nature of any subject in a matter of seconds with the internet and modern technology. And with this new technology comes a responsibility to one another to tolerate the differences of opinions we see every day. Perhaps 30 years ago, many people were content to believe that there were 5 or 6 major religions, and that whichever one they belonged to was the right one. They were content to live out their days in a bubble, blissfully unaware of the vast difference in opinions between even those within their own church. But equally tragic, being completely unaware of the similarities between their beliefs and those from a completely different part of the world. The door was shut. It was my way or the highway. But today, comparative religion is no longer a course in philosophical knowledge in a school. It is accessible to all of us. We can attain the same information very quickly, and that very information is leading us to some startling revelations we were not ready to accept. We were dependent on our books, and now we're not dependent on our books. We can make our own decisions. Some may choose to read only what they wish to believe, and others may read too much and believe everything they come across. But a segment of the population, the number of which I have no idea, have learned to accept their true feelings, to tap into that ancient energy source some call God, and use intuition to feel what is right and what sounds fishy. The days of taking the Bible word for word in English are over. The days of assuming the Quran promotes killing of non-believers is over, and no religion is immune. Even the calm, collected Buddhist will have to one day realize life is not indeed suffering, but eternal bliss. Now, this writing you read, this writing that I speak, right now holds no more validity than any other I speak of. This is simply a fleeting idea of mine in a vast sea of ideas. But we are a steadfast group, strong in our convictions, and ready to use our intuition to decide what is really going on around here. We have for too long been provided simplified versions of what it means to be alive, perverted theories on what God wants from us, where we are going after we die, how much money we should have to pay, and, most disturbing, which things are considered right and wrong. We all know what is wrong. It comes within our collective consciousness. It is within every creature, every plant, everything. The universe is inherently good and has provided some tough breaks along the way. But oversimplifying life does not make it any easier to live properly. We need direction, and the very wisest and oldest church members from every denomination know this well, but cannot share the truth of it for fear of change. So I call upon religions and religious leaders to welcome each other with open arms, to mend their differences, and become one. No man will convince the world he is right. Only if he is right within his own conscience will he feel complete and lose the desire to have a specific faith in an idol beyond the universe itself. But this is not only a call to change religion or any belief system. This is a call to tolerance, to acceptance, to the celebration of existence itself. But atheists are in no way immune. In fact, the outspoken atheist may be the greatest bane to humanity of them all, so convinced he is right, and so well thought out in his convictions, he will not be swayed. He considers belief to be a sickness, a disease, if you will. He laughs at the believer and mocks anyone who has the slightest belief in something more. He has taken the easy way out, while thinking he has the hardest job. One always sees what he wants to see, but unfortunately the universe presents some evidence so wondrous at times, we have a very hard time writing it off as chance. The most obvious question is, why would an atheist spend any time writing a book or making speeches about how great atheism is and how religion is so wrong, unless he was either trying to make a buck, trying to show how much it has improved his life to be an atheist, or just a confused person oversimplifying life? Most religious people are happy. So, what would be the point but to reinforce one's own convictions? In my opinion, it takes more effort to believe in nothing than to be religious. So I applaud the dedicated atheist and the dedicated religious fundamentalist. You will never see somebody write a book disputing space beyond the earth is vast. We have measurements. And scientists to tell us how far things are, how old they are. But still, how many of us have been to space? My point being, we have often traded one book for another. Nobody can prove God beyond their own experience. Likewise, a scientist can only prove what he can conclusively demonstrate time and time again. As most of us know, many scientific experiments and measurements are based on limited trials and are proven wrong, only after many years of conflicting evidence finally forces the hand of the scientific paradigm. The belief in science has often become so frantic and unbending as to only be considered one thing in my eyes, a religion. With science as God and scientists as our bishops and priests, we trust them without ever confirming that there are indeed atoms and molecules, particles and waves. Not that these are in question, but one must realize that the religious man often trusts his priest as an atheist trusts a scientist. Either way, we are putting someone else in charge of our reality, and that is not good. But we need leaders. Some folks choose to believe the earth is 6,000 years old. The atheist, on the other hand, believes science so completely he ignores the obvious connections that happen every day. The synchronicities, the miracles, the strange things we shrug off as chance. That makes us aware there is something going on behind the scenes, but everything is what we make it. The observer effect is strong in the universe. It does seem that we tend to push our ideas on others, not to try and prove anything to them, but usually to try and keep our own faith or lack of faith alive by having others agree with us. In time, we live in what I like to call the echo chamber, or the resonating agreement among a group of people that what they believe is the ultimate truth and everyone else is simply wrong. Why a small group of people can claim to know the only path is beyond me. But people want answers and they don't want to have to look very hard. As a person who has spent years of searching every facet of truth, I can only speak for myself, but my belief is that there is no ultimate truth, or one path to enlightenment, and that there is no college course, religious practice, or scientific method that will ever match the value of integrity and experience, ethics. Patience and a yearning for knowledge leads one to truth, but not without hardships. There's a certain discomfort in man. We all feel it. Every one of us has a spot within us that we try to fill with God, drugs, music, art, shopping, or whatever keeps us happy. The trick is to accept others' happiness for what it is and respect each other. We all come from different cradles, and all end up in different graves. So who's to say we will always agree while we are here? It comes down to this. Nobody will ever prove anything to everyone. Some folks will not believe it if you show it right to their face. It's just the way it is. In fact, I'm convinced if Jesus came from the sky and showed himself to every man, woman, and child on earth, there would still be people arguing over whether he came in a white or a cream-colored robe. So, unless we want to go on killing people over petty differences, trivial details that are written in a book, we had better grow up and change our course. And we must stop placing the blame on our leaders and religions, as wars are most often fought over ignorance and greed, just on the premise of religion. We are all to blame, merely because we are part of society. A man who does not know and does nothing in the light of adversity is as guilty as he whom creates it. Ignorance is a sin as well. So we have been children too long. I think we are graduating now, and that we need to start acting like it. The only reason to speak to others on beliefs is if it betters mankind as a whole. If you speak peace, let it be known. Tell the world. If you are preaching intolerance toward anyone, then just shut your mouth, as your opinions are not valid in such a beautiful universe. Of course, preaching intolerance toward the intolerant is sometimes hard not to do. Indeed, one who assumes what he learned in college book is any more valid than in the Bible in the hand of the fundamentalist is mistaken. The information is always skewed to fit the model of the individual life. When we put down the books and open up our minds, only then will we truly be free. Experience is the path to the truth. Let none lead you astray, only help you along the way. The road to lasting truth is a lonely one, but one that can definitely take on passengers along the way to help out. Find your own truth. Let others into your heart, but never yield to those trying to change it. Namaste, Joshua. Peace and love to all of you. Thank you for listening.